Vikings coach Mike Zimmer out after 8 years. That wasn't a surprise. And I don't want to call it a surprise. It's not a shock. Rick Spielman, 15 years with the organization. He's out as the general manager. He had done a good job of compiling talent. But, Miles, Mike Golick and I talked about this earlier as it relates to, God, what did it even come up in? Oh, it came up in connection with the Raiders potentially moving on from Rich Bisaccia after they've had this special outcome to the season. The Vikings had the special season 4 years ago with Case Keenum at quarterback, and they said, get the hell out, we'll go get Kirk Cousins. That probably is the thing that cooked Rick Spielman's goose. One playoff appearance in 4 years with Cousins and all the money they've paid to him. Zimmer's out, Spielman's out, and that's the easy part. The harder part for the Vikings is going to be figuring out where they go from here, especially with $35 million fully guaranteed for Cousins in 2022.
Right, and you're basically going to have to find a coach and a GM who are going to say, okay, well, we can do this with Kirk Cousins probably for next year, but then we have to make sure we're setting ourselves up well for down the road. And whether that's Kellen Mond, whether that's somebody else, it certainly doesn't seem to be Sean Mannion based on what we saw a couple weeks ago in Green Bay. But that's going to be the basic thing there where you're going to have to figure that out. It kind of reminds me of the Falcons last year where you have, Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith come in and they do believe in Matt Ryan for at least, this year. Now this year's over, so we'll see what happens next year and then going forward. But they had an aging QB, somebody with who had some ability. And I think Kirk Cousins definitely has ability, but the best system that he's been in has been with Sean McVay, the Kyle Shanahans of the world. So are the Vikings going to go after somebody who can maximize his skill set from that standpoint? Somebody from that coaching tree? We'll have to see if that happens. But yeah, I think the biggest thing, you've been talking about this a lot, Mike, is whether or not the Vikings have been content, just to be kind of around that 500 mark, get to the playoffs and then get one undone, whatever it is. I think by firing Spielman and Zimmer, it's at least a sign that they want to do better. They want a higher ceiling at this point.
Yeah, just good enough is no longer good enough for the Wilfs. They have a stadium that is spectacular. They have a practice facility that is among the best in the NFL. They have a fan base that deserves more than what they've gotten really the past 45 years. And now ownership, which has been willing to authorize massive expenditures, ownership willing to go forward. Let me make a point here that we're really going to amplify later in this conversation, but the Wilfs don't live in Minnesota. It's incumbent on them, I believe, to have a very strong presence in charge of the football operation who brings accountability every day to every level of the organization in the absence of an owner. You can't have turf battles. You can't have agendas. You have to have one person who's fully and firmly in charge, working as the surrogate owner, and it better be the right person. Otherwise, the whole thing implodes upon itself. So the Wilfs are ready to try to upgrade. Now the challenge is going to be finding the right people. These are the biggest decisions they've had to make really since they bought the team. The easy part was moving on from Mike Tice. They blew it with Brad Childress. All due respect. Not much respect intended. They initially hired Fran Foley. That was a debacle. It settled down with Rick Spielman. They've had a couple of pretty good seasons since then, but not nearly enough. They just kind of dog paddle, middle of the pack, and get to the playoffs once every 2 or 3 years. They're letting us all know that's not good enough. Now they have to show to us that they know how to find a way out of that wilderness.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.